Well, greetings and salutation, all you old lesbians. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth. Never mind. It's regarding something that we were talking about before the show started. And I'm not going to tell you what it was. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I am, of course, joined... I'm so discombobulated right now. I'm your host, John Campea. I'm joined by Robert Meyer Burnett.
Just getting off the LPGA tour myself.
Jonathan Voico's here.
Yo, what's going
Chris
on, everybody?
Carr is here.
Hi.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off the show by talking about a number of predetermined topics that we got lined up to discuss with you guys. But then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like us to discuss, as long as we deem it appropriate to discuss, you can send it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. And I do understand, we do reserve the right, if we don't think your question is appropriate, when you're sending in a tip question, you are not buying a question to be read on our show. You're just sending us a tip to be supportive. And out of our appreciation, we like to answer one of your questions. But here's the neat thing about it. This tip link is actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to our show a little bit later on our podcast feed, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question or topic. And if you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. Also, want to let you guys know a little bit of housekeeping here. We're going to be talking about Daredevil a little bit today, but just so you know, tonight, after the 2-episode debut of Daredevil, we will be doing a Daredevil after show. It starts, of course, Daredevil drops at 6 p.m. tonight, the first 2 episodes. So we're going to give you guys a couple hours to watch it. And then at 9 p.m. Los Angeles time, that'll be all the way to midnight on the East Coast, New York and Toronto time. But at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the shows go live. So at 9 p.m. LA time, we're going to go live with a little after show where me and Ray, we're going to talk about Daredevil and what we thought about the first couple episodes. It's going to be really casual, laid back. And if you guys want to come and join us, we hope that you will. All right, guys, with all that down, let's get things started with this. Christopher Nolan, don't know if you've heard, he's making his next movie, The Odyssey, with a massive cast, and the cast just got a little bit bigger. As Deadline is reporting, that Shogun star, Cosmo Jarvis, has been cast in the new movie in an undisclosed role. Now, he is joining after what rumors I hear. Christopher Nolan tried to get Richard Chamberlain, but apparently he wasn't available, went with Cosmo Jarvis. And we now find out who he's joining. So he's joining it. He's going to be joining Academy Award winner Matt Damon, Zendaya, Academy Award winner Anne Hathaway, Academy Award winner Lupita Nyong'o, winner at Life Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Benny Safdie, Academy Award winner Charlize Theron, John Bernthal. It goes on. A lot of people going to be in this movie. I simply don't know what else they can do to get me more excited for this. Now, was Cosmo on the same level as Hiroyuki Sanada in Shogun? Well, no, that's why Hiroyuki has been winning all the Emmys. But he was great. Shogun wouldn't have been as good as it was if it wasn't for, Cosmo's Anglaise.
Right.
In that thing. His voice was thunderous, and he had this such a unique voice. I can't even remotely begin to interpret it. But we're going to see him next with Robert De Niro in that Alto Kings.
Alto Knights.
Alto Knights, that's the one he's going to be in. He's also going to be in an A24 movie with Guy Pearce coming out pretty soon. But by far, easily, this is the most high-profile thing he's going to be doing. I love this. This cast just keeps getting better. I'm so stoked for the Odyssey already. Anyway, Rob, you hear the Cosmo Jarvis is joining the Odyssey. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think Nolan's kind of like James Cameron, never bet against him.
Yeah, it's true.
And look, I was dubious that he was going to make a movie out of Dunkirk. I'm like, how good can that be? Oh, well, very good, it turns out.
Yep.
A World War II art film that's amazing. And the fact that he's tackling the Odyssey, I just love this. I love this. I can't wait. And everything about it. I mean, what an interesting cast. I don't know how it's going to fit all into the period of it all, but I trust him. His casting has usually been impeccable for all of his movies. I mean, look, he was the guy that gave us Heath Ledger's The Joker, and everyone was complaining about it before they saw the film. The man's instincts are worth trusting. He's never let us.
Boy.
That's exactly what they were saying, though.
I know. I can't wait. I can't wait for this movie. I love that he's making this movie. Bring it on. Can't
Chris,
come soon enough.
I mean, it feels like every week some new staggering announcement of the cast to Odyssey. I mean, they're already shooting the movie. They're in production now. What's your reaction to Cosmo Jarvis joining it?
Oh, I love this. I love this for him. He's so good. He's so talented. And he's an actor who does his research, but can take a note really well. That incredible voice from Shogun, when he talked about creating it, he had found all these old like voice prints of sailors from back in the day and used that to craft the voice. But then it was a little wispy and high. And the directors and everyone on board just said, hey, let's lower that. And he came up with this voice on the fly with everybody else there. He's a director's actor. He's an actor's actor. I feel like he's going to be an immensely good company here.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Cosmo Jarvis from Shogun, one of the best television shows ever, has joined one of the greatest directors ever, Christopher Nolan, with one of the best casts ever in the Odyssey. What are you guys thinking about that? Do you think we could get some more? Or just like, hey, guys, the bus is full. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? The axe of Zaslav is legendary and strong.
Well, I haven't heard that in a while.
And when, all Zaz came in and they took over Warner Brothers and he started wielding the axe, a lot of people said, this is terrible. This is awful. And I told people for a couple of years, these are brilliant moves. And you are going to see that this is going to pay off in the long run. Now, whenever a major regime change happens in a studio, what do we always say? You got to give it a couple of years to see what the actual impact is going to be of the regime change, right? We said it when new CEOs come, when new ownership groups come. It's always going to take a while to see what the results are. Well, Warner Brothers Discovery, as the insider newsletter Puck has put it, they've turned the corner. In the latest earnings call, a number of things have come out about what they've done. Now, before we get into what Puck has been reporting here, I want to remind everybody of what the status of Warner Brothers and Warner Media was when David Zaslav and Discovery took it over. AT&T, who were the previous owners of Warner Media, bought Warner Brothers and Warner Media for about $85 billion. Is that what it was? Somewhere around $85 billion. Ran it into the ground, and just a few years later, sold it for a $40 billion loss. A $40 billion loss. Filmmakers like Denis Villeneuve started writing scathing articles about them. Christopher Nolan bailed, said, I'm done with you guys. Double effers, and out the door he went. That's an exact a reenactment of what happened,
He had
by
a
the
little
way.
slight British accent.
A slight British accent when he did it, and he walked out the door.
He's a pish posh.
When you got to understand, when the living body of Warner Brothers came in, it wasn't a healthy subject. It was an emergency room patient that got brought in on a gurney with 23 gunshot wounds, 7 stab wounds, and the bear from that Leonardo DiCaprio movie biting on its balls. That was Warner Brothers. It was on death's door. It had no hope. It had no future. The first thing David Zaslav started to do was very unpopular, but he started taking the axe of Zaslav and he started cutting. He said, we got to reduce our debt. We're never going to survive as a company unless we reduce our debt. We got to do all these things. We got to reemphasize our stuff here, 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 and here. And now, as the folks over at Puck wrote, it's now finally all paying off. Puck wrote the following. Warner Brothers Discovery has now paid down $19 billion of its debt load in nearly 3 years. We will continue to be super, super focused on this, the chief financial officer, Gunnar Wildfeld, said during the company's earnings call on Thursday morning. As I've reported, this isn't just a balance sheet narrative, however. Warner Bros. Discovery has achieved a fair amount of success in the fastest growing parts of the business. Zaz's strategy, I love that he calls them Zaz's. Zaz's strategy of internationalizing HBO Max, Warner Bros. Discovery direct-to-consumer offerings seems to be paying off. Total direct-to-consumer subscribers reached 117 million in the fourth quarter, with the majority of those subscribers, nearly 60 million, coming from outside the United States after penetrating those markets. There were also unexpected subscriber growth in the U.S., with some 4.5 million new subscribers domestically, as compared to the analyst expectations of just 2.8 million. The U.S. is a pretty mature market, Zaz said. We think that there's still some growth given the quality of our service, and we're fighting for that. Meanwhile, streaming is now solidly profitable at Warner Bros. Discovery. In the fourth quarter, DTC adjusted EBITDA, that's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization.
Yeah.
There we go. I hate that term, as Zaz knows, was $409 million, up from a loss in the fourth quarter of 2023 and above the $275 million that Wall Street was expecting. As Morale wrote in his note, for all of 2024, direct-to-consumer adjusted EBITDA was a $677 million, up exponentially from the $103 million in 2023. On top of all that, if I had taken Jonathan Voico's advice a year ago when he said, I think now's a good time to buy into Warner Brothers, I would have made a lot of money because just in the last year, Warner Brothers stock has gone up 40%. 40% in the last year. Listen, I've been saying this for years, and everybody keeps saying me, you're just a Zaslav fanboy. Oh, what he's doing is terrible. Oh, what he's doing is destroying everything. And I kept telling people, you got to look at this long term. He's making cuts where they have to make cuts. He's making painful sacrifices where painful sacrifices have to be made because the long-term health of the company depends on it. And now, as we're entering year 3, from when the actual finalization of the takeover, which I believe was in April of 2022, we're finally seeing this dead, decomposing corpse
with no balls,
with no balls in a bear's mouth. Phrasing that could be taken a certain way. Anyway, like this dying thing that was wheeled on a gurney is actually starting to show signs of life again. The axe of Zaslav defeats Mjolnir, in my estimation. And listen, has everything gone perfectly? Absolutely not. Look what happened to Joker 2. I mean, have there been, absolutely there have been missteps along the way. All I know is this. When you look at the condition of the patient from April of 2022 to where they're at today, it's a hell of a lot better. And I think it's only going to get better. Anyway, Chris, you saw these stats, these numbers. They still, by the way, let's not mince words. They still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But at least their streaming is now consistently profitable. They're gaining numbers. Their stock is going up. Their debt has gone down. What do you think is still important that they need to do and accomplish moving forward? Because there is still a lot of work to do. How do you see it?
Sure. And I'm definitely not the right person for this topic. I want to be very clear about that because I am not a business-minded person aside from my own small business. And I'm also a creative.
By the way, small business where she will teach you how to get into voice acting.
Speakfriendstudio.com. Go ahead. Go over there. But I come from the actor's perspective. So David Zaslav is not one of my favorite individuals. The video game strike is still going on. WB Games is one of the holdouts. About a week ago, they shut down 3 of their gaming divisions, surely to save money, but also I feel like so many of the budgetary things that are happening here, while necessary, are definitely at the cost of creativity. I feel like moving forward, a lot of things too are also being made with second screen in mind. The lovely phenomenon of how addicted we all are to these, in which we are on our phones while we're watching television, so things get dumbed down. And I want Warner Brothers, I want HBO, I want all of those things to still be high quality television. And that's always my fear when we just start gutting for the sake of making budget cuts. A comparison that I don't know if it'll work for everyone, but it feels like when you're doing spring cleaning and you just get rid of everything. You get rid of everything in your house, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, but I need that. Oh, and I need this, and I still need that. And then you just buy everything again. I'm worried that we're going to get to a point of gutting so that it's just this cavernous former studio that won't have the same wonderful content that I love. And that's the big thing. Balance the checkbook, but balance the creativity and balance the quality still.
I mean, you nailed it. And like one of the things that gives me hope though is like what I've seen from things like HBO Max and stuff like that recently. Like Last of Us was great. The HBO stuff we've been getting, Penguin was
Sure, yeah.
fabulous. And I mean, it's difficult. Although I will say this, it's difficult to put out quality content if your company goes under.
Yeah.
Right. That makes it difficult. And like Chris is pointing out, Rob, it hasn't all been perfect. There's still a lot of work to do. I mean, for instance, they've got their biggest shift going where they took the axe of Zaslav to the old DCEU. We've now got a brand new DC, which they're really banking on the success of their movie division coming from that and Superman, stuff like that. What more work do you see here having to be done? What do they need to improve on?
Well, John, you got to restore that Snyderverse. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just already my Twitter or my X just exploded. No, I think look, they're as far as the DCEU, they're all in. I mean, you got the Lantern show in production, you've got Supergirl in production, you have Superman coming out, which
Clayface
as well. I mean, I think that's a huge vote of confidence, by the way. I mean, they could have waited before they greenlit or moved forward with these projects to see how Superman did, which leads me to believe they're very bullish. The studio's bullish on this whole new DCEU, which is great. I'd love to see that happen as a DC fanboy. But look, again, you've got to go back to core principles, first principles. And I think that's what David Zaslav has done. You're going to take an entertainment company. You've got to go back and make great entertainment, and you have to do it in a way that's economically, none of these boondoggle. I'm sure the thing about Joker was it was unfortunate, but they haven't done that a lot. And they've gone back and they've concentrated on doing what they do best, which is making good content, maybe not for second screen so much. Chris, I agree with you. I hate that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But making great television, making great movies, doing it economically. I think they've made some missteps, like they could have had Juror number 2 in theaters longer, things like that. But I think they're doing what they need to do to move forward and stay healthy. And look, we benefit because we get good entertainment.
I mean, to Chris's point though, is will we continue to get great entertainment, right? Like, so the hope here is that once they do move into solid profitability, again, earnings are up, profitability's up, stocks are up, debt is down, all that kind of stuff, that they then change their focus back to, okay, now we're on solid foundation. Let's start reinvesting more and more into stuff. And the stuff with Joker, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning about Joker 2, is that here's the thing, as much as I dislike Joker 2, and I remember I saw a screening and I came out and I'm like, guys, Joker 2 is not good. And everybody was like, oh, you're just being a hater. And then everybody else saw it and they're like, oh yeah, Joker 2 is really not any good.
Yeah.
Joker 2 is terrible. But even though it fell on its face and it flopped, I still maintain that it was the right gamble. I mean, the first one, right, made over $1 billion. It won Oscars. It did all that kind of stuff. And they invested into a filmmaker. They gave him too much power, and Todd Phillips turned in a dud, as Todd Phillips will do every once in a while. Sometimes he makes brilliant stuff. Sometimes he turns in a dud. But it's just good to see that the patient isn't on not just life support, but the paddles that come out clear and trying to, at least the thing's got a beating heart now.
Well, and also you're not seeing people like Matt Reeves, the Penguin. You weren't reading articles about profligate spending and how much the show cost.
Yeah.
It was a show that was, it took a long time to make, but it was well produced. The results spoke for themselves. I mean, how many awards did Colin Farrell get?
Many awards. Yeah.
And I think that's what you focus on, creatives that know what they're doing, that aren't breaking the bank. And if you do that across the board, I think you can have a great result.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What's your perspective on this? Financially and from a stability point of view, Warner Brothers, as Puck is pointing out, has basically kind of turned a corner here. Still more work to do. What do you think has been the biggest keys to them having this big turnaround? What do you think are the areas they still need to work on to truly try to get it right? What are some of the things and all the things that they've done right do you think maybe they dropped the ball on? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The other day we talked about a series of supposed leaked concept images for the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, maybe from Vision Quest, who knows. But did you know also the other day that a bunch of purported, again, we cannot vouch for the validity of them, but a bunch of purported concept pieces of art for Fantastic Four also came out, with one really interesting character reveal that a lot of people suspected would be in the movie, and I have said that character won't be in this movie. It's too early. And that character, and now's a good time for you guys to mute if you don't want to have any potential spoilers. By the way, we don't even know if these images are legit or not, but little Franklin Richards being in it. Let's take a look at some of these images that came out. Of course, a lot of these images, by the way, really focus on the Invisible Woman, on Sue Storm. And so here we see them navigating the seas in one of her force bubbles. And in it, we see Johnny Thing. We see Reed in there too. Let's move on to the next one. Then sitting around the dinner table, which is pretty consistent with what we've kind of seen already. It's a nice shot of them, actually.
That's great.
And then the next one. Now, this is our first one where we see what I just assume is Franklin, with them sitting around in the family room, you know, having family time together, whatever. There's no Thing in there. I don't know why Ben isn't in there. All right, let's go to the next one. Next one, we do have Ben in there with a sweatshirt literally says it's clobbering time.
He's got his own merch.
He's got his own merch. And of course, Franklin is in there on Daddy's lap as he's reading a book.
I love that.
And then we get some...
What's Johnny holding? Oh, look at that. It's like a smartphone that Johnny's holding.
Oh my gosh, is that what he's holding on to?
Looks like some kind of smart camera or something like that.
Is there any way you can zoom in on that?
Zoom and enhance.
Zoom and enhance.
Here we go.
Enhance.
And then let me just zoom, and now I've done the zoom now on the enhance.
It is a smartphone,
Now,
which
look at
feels like a little out
together.
of period. But then again, remember, this is not our Earth. It's a different universe. All right, what do we got up
All right.
next? Then we got some of these concept
I
art
think I can zoom in and then just scroll
for
down.
our Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Which,
Looks like first meeting or something.
yeah, might be like doing the Herald job, saying, hey, I've come to Herald. My boss is coming. You might want to get things in order, which looks pretty interesting. Then our next one here.
Yeah. Look.
Against a different costume looks for Sue while holding a baby. So again, a lot of these are making me think Franklin doesn't just like get born at the end of the movie. He's in enough of these things that's kind of feeling like maybe he's around the entire film. Not sure. Okay, what do we got up next? Then the little baby Franklin falling off the couch, reaching for something, and Sue Storm using her little force bubble to catch the baby. That's
I was
cute.
gonna be like, he's dressed like Spider-Man.
Is he?
He looks like it.
Oh, he's got the red and blue.
Just because if you look at the boots there.
Oh, that does look like a Spider-Man jumpsuit.
Oh boy.
Whoa.
A grand.
Did I just unleash something?
What does that say about that? Okay, we'll get to that in a second. All right, well, was that the last one? Oh yeah. Then another one, Sue using her
spikes.
force abilities to block something and send it back.
Oh, bullets. So they're
Yeah,
getting attacked.
blocking bullets, aka Neo style, using her force power to like Last of Us, the video game.
That looks just like Last of Us. That's what I thought of too.
Right? It's Last
Yeah.
of Us video games for sonar detection of where
Yeah.
her enemy. If she does it, that's a pretty cool use of the
It
power.
looks like the hospital scene too.
It does look a little bit like the hospital scene, doesn't it?
And then that's it as far as those go.
And that's it. All right. So, first of all, I think these are pretty cool. I mean, these look pretty cool. I love the aesthetic of the 1960s of this different world. Looks really cool. Okay, I hadn't seen it before. I hadn't noticed it before, and now I'm obsessed with it. What if Franklin is actually wearing a Spider-Man jumper?
Could be. I mean, why does it have red boots and then the red sides go down?
Well, they,
Yeah,
they could be in our universe by this point.
Or there could be a Spider-Man in that.
Okay,
universe.
yeah, they could be in the 616. By this point, we don't know at what point. I'm assuming they don't get into the 616 until the end of the movie, or maybe they never get to the 616. Maybe at the end of this movie, they just get right into Battle World. But does this universe have like a
Spider-Man?
1960s Spider-Man or also running around and swinging around their town? Spider-Man is an adjacent member of the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Or at least has been traditionally. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. Chris, you're seeing all these pictures and images. what are you seeing that's standing out to you? Anything that concerns you? Anything that excites you? What's catching your attention the most?
I mean, I did have the moment of like, this just looks like they superimposed on Last of Us, which made
Right,
me,
yeah.
where I was like, I don't know about that. I'm hoping we don't jump the gun with Franklin if he's already in here.
Yeah, I've been saying forever, there's no way they're going to put Franklin.
Yeah.
It's way too early to bring in
I feel
Franklin.
like that's my biggest concern is Super Baby is a big buy-in.
What's the name of the kid from The Incredibles? Jack.
Jack, yeah. It does have Jack energy too, that one animation of him just toppling off the couch and everything.
By the way, one of the
Which
greatest
Jack really is Franklin Richards.
That's very true.
So-
By the way,
Yeah.
one of the greatest lines of dialogue in cinematic history. Cookie num num, Jack, cookie num num. It's one of the greatest lines ever. I laugh my ass off every time I hear it. Anyway, sorry. Please
Academy
continue.
Award winning line. But yeah, overall, I think it looks fun and interesting. And yeah, I love that Ben has his own merch. That was another takeaway of just like the confidence to be a man made of rocks wearing your own tagline on your own chest. Well done. Well done. But it looks fun. Like these.
Rob, what's standing out to you?
Well, I always kind of thought, because it's First Steps, that Franklin Richards would somehow be in it.
Oh.
I did. I mean, and also it means I can get a Power Pack movie eventually. But no, I think it. Like Chris said, I don't know how the power. If there's a Franklin Richards, I don't think he's come into his own yet. I don't think he's going
Was
to be
clearly just a baby.
as powerful as he becomes. I don't think that's going to be an issue in this movie, or at least I wouldn't think it would be. But I like the idea that Franklin Richards is there. I mean, I depending on how he's used.
Now, by the way, this is one of the most iconic frames of any Fantastic Four. It's this iconic frame where it's like this little kid, Franklin Richards, literally creates a universe.
Yes. Yes.
This would be a little bit older than the baby, though, so maybe
Yes,
he's not in his
definitely.
powers
Sure,
yet.
yeah.
I don't know how you deal with that in this movie, but I like it. I mean, I like it. I've always liked the character of Franklin Richards, and I think that it's good for the Fantastic Four. So we'll see.
Now, let's get on to the elephant in the room. Much like the other images we looked at for Avenger stuff, what do you think the chances that these are legitimate, that these are actual legitimate pieces of concept art from the movie? I actually feel a little bit more positive about these than I did about the Avengers ones. Not that I'm positive, not at all. I'm feeling a little bit more pro that these might be legitimate than even the other ones. How do you feel about them?
Well, it's interesting here, and this just occurred to me. Technicolor, the great post facility that was responsible for a lot of visual effects being done, imploded last week, and tons of people were let out. They lost their jobs, and Technicolor, there were effects houses that were working on Marvel movies. So I was thinking that, I'm out of a job. I've been fired prematurely. Maybe that's how some of these things wound up.
Well, they came
online.
from the same place as the other ones. So I guess if one's real, the other's real. And if one's not, then the other ones aren't real.
Yeah,
either.
that's what I was thinking. So I'm just saying there's a possible origin. So I believe they're probably legit.
Chris, you think these are legit?
I don't know. I don't trust or love anyone, and I always just feel like they're showing us nonsense.
Right.
But there's also nothing aside from Franklin showing up. There's nothing here that's really like,
Whoa.
what they're doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it does feel like these could be actual pieces of art.
Unless that is a Spider-Man jumper he's in. By the way, if these are real and if these are legitimate, I have 100% now bought into the idea that if these are real, they were not leaked.
Right.
I think Disney, if they're real, I think
Asymmetric
Disney
marketing.
100% let these come out to get everybody stop talking about Captain America 4 and just focus on the goodness that we got coming down the pipe, right? And so we'll see if that's actually the truth or not. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about these images? I mean, listen, I've said, I don't believe they'll use Franklin Richards in the first one. It's too early. But maybe if they want a toddler Franklin Richards, you got to start with him as a baby. Maybe, I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? What stood out to you most in any of those images? Whatever you guys feel, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. By the way, to prove the point, Rihanna in the live chat said, Cap who? Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right. Guys, listen. We still have a number of things that we need to talk about here today, including we're going to play a little game of what's more likely. Also, there's a whole bunch of MCU stuff coming out in 2026. We're going to rank the most anticipated things that we're looking forward to coming from Marvel in 2026. And It's game day. Woo. Daredevil returns tonight after being MIA for 6.5 years. What are they saying about it? How are you guys feeling about it? What are we looking forward to the most in it? We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at PrizePicks. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. All right, guys, if you're watching basketball this season and not playing PrizePicks, you are seriously missing out. This is hands down the most fun way to get in on the action. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats like points, rebounds, or assists for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's available in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. This week, I'm looking at the board and I'm going with Luka Doncic for more than 25 points and Jason Tatum for more than 8 rebounds. That's my lineup. Simple, quick, and way more fun to watch the games. And on top of that, PrizePicks hooks you up with awesome promos like Taco Tuesday, where you get player projections at a discount for even bigger value. So download the app today and use the code CAMPEA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, just play $5 and you get $50 automatically. PrizePicks, run your game. And thank you to our friends at PrizePicks for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's go on to this. A little bit earlier today, I went into the community tab, the post section of our YouTube channel, and I put up a post saying, hey guys, we're going to play a little What's More Likely today. And we asked you guys to write some scenarios for us. We picked 4 or 5 of them, and we're going to get to those right now. So Jonathan, what do we got in What's More Likely?
All right. First up from Esteban Rivera. John, what's more likely, Lilo and Stitch making more opening weekend than Mission Impossible 8 or vice versa? Stitch or Mission Impossible?
Here's the thing. I don't mean this as a takedown of Mission Impossible, because I think it's going to do well, and I'm really excited for it. I liked Dead Reckoning Part 1. Well, now just Dead Reckoning. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite of the Mission Impossible, but I thought it was solid. I thought it was a lot of fun. The action was great. And I think the second one, this new one, is going to do well. But I think Lilo and Stitch is a potential $1 billion film. I'm not saying it will hit the $1 billion mark, but I think it's one of those movies that has the potential to be a $1 billion film if it's not bad. If it's a good film, sky's the limit. So I'm going to say, I think it's more likely that Lilo and Stitch is the one that comes out on top of that. What about you, Chris?
Oh, Lilo and Stitch, absolutely. The last Mission Impossible didn't do that well. And
how much did it make? Like 600 or 500?
Like yeah.
Something like that.
Lilo and Stitch, you've got the nostalgia factor, you've got the family factor, you've got just, it's fun. And it has the potential, like you're saying, too, to really blow up. 571? Oh.
Yeah, so 571 million. And that little Super Bowl spot they did got a lot of people talking.
So fun.
It was so cute.
I loved it.
Rob, what's more likely?
I got to go with Lilo and Stitch on this one, too. If it's good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what's the trailer for that's going to be very, very telling. But you know what? Who doesn't love Lilo and Stitch? Like
monsters, terrible people.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all subjective, but you're wrong.
And look, but I have to say this: those Mission Impossible trailers for the Final Reckoning are dope. I mean, that movie looks
it does look
good.
Really good.
It looks like it's going to deliver. So, because Lilo and Stitch has the family audience. It has an audience that's not going to Mission Impossible, namely kids. So I think it's gonna win. But I don't think we should count out Final Reckoning. I think it's going to do very well.
By the way, speaking of the marketing for Final Reckoning, do you notice that a big change between the marketing of this film and the last one? Whereas the last one spent a year showing us Tom Cruise's motorcycle stunt off the cliff over and over and over and over and over again. They haven't done that for this movie. I totally believe they have one of those in this movie, maybe even 2 of those in this movie.
Sure.
But they've decided...
I mean, hanging off the plane's pretty cool, though.
Hanging off... But I hear the stunt is he literally in midair goes from one plane to another plane. Like he goes from there's a yellow, because if you look in the trailer, in one scene he's in the yellow plane, and in another shot he's in the red plane. And the whispers is that they actually did a stunt where he literally goes from one plane to another in midair. If they do that, I mean, I just don't know. I'm just going to throw my popcorn in the air and like, what is there left to do? Anyway. All right.
Space.
What's next?
Space.
All right. Paul Rogers says, Rob, what's more likely? Nolan's Odyssey movie making over $1 billion or making under $700 million?
Look, $1 billion is a lot of money.
It is.
And I would say, like, even Inception didn't make $1 billion. But I think it's more likely that it will be under 700 million. But that's only because nobody reads anymore and people don't know what the Odyssey is.
Well, with an attitude like that.
I'm sorry, but even Sword and Sandal movies, I mean, I would like to say that Christopher Nolan would defeat all comers, but I don't think it's going to be $1 billion movie. And I think it's probably going to be under 700 million. It's going to be more of a Dunkirk than it is a Dark Knight.
See, I'm glad you brought up Dunkirk because I was going to bring that up too, but in a more positive kind of like a movie like Dunkirk, which is not the kind of movie that gets a lot of people out to the theaters. Dunkirk made over $500 million.
Yes, it did. That's why you don't bet out Christopher Nolan.
Don't count against Christopher Nolan. So look, do I think Odyssey will make $1 billion? I wouldn't say that. But to me, especially coming off of Oppenheimer, another movie that does not get a lot of people to go to see it, and it almost crossed $1 billion.
But it didn't.
It didn't.
It was a flop.
To me, though, it is inconceivable to channel my best Vincini. It is absolutely inconceivable that a fantasy epic like the Odyssey with this cast directed by Christopher Nolan makes under $700 million. Like, to me, it's not inconceivable that it could make $1 billion, but it is inconceivable to me that it makes under 700 million. So I'm going to say it's more likely that it makes $1 billion. Chris, what do you think?
I feel like it's going to be under. I'm with you
Really?
here. Yeah. I sadly think also no one knows what the Odyssey is, which makes me absolutely gutted.
Yeah, I was making jokes. Is Sean Bean going to come back and play Odysseus? And people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Troy? Like, nobody knows. You know, and by the way, if you're fans of the Odyssey and the Iliad, might I recommend Dan Simmons' sci-fi duology, Ilium and Olympos.
Ooh.
Fantastic. And it's all about, well, I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but it has to do with the Odyssey and the Iliad. Just read it. They're
Again,
great.
I just think when those first trailers drop and it's a sword and sandal with Zendaya and Tom Holland and Matt Damon and Robert Pattinson and everybody else in the world, and this is by Christopher Nolan, I just can't see how it makes under 700 million, but we'll find out. All right, what's next?
All right, Batman, the Caped Crusader says, Chris, what's more likely to happen first? Denis Villeneuve getting his Academy recognition for Dune 3 or Ralph Fiennes getting his Oscar for whatever next he's nominated for?
Oh.
I'm going Rafe.
Oh, no. Yeah, I think it'd be Rafe because Dune 3, isn't that the book that people aren't
Messiah?
as jazzed about?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll be one of those kind of, it ends up being an honorary Oscar almost, where this is for the entirety of your work that you've done on this trilogy.
Return of the King style.
Yeah.
Yes.
That could happen. But I want to say Rafe because he deserves it. Not that Denis doesn't, but I just love Rafe.
Rob?
Like we're best friends.
I think it's going to be Denis for that very reason.
Yeah.
I think that, I think Dune Messiah or Dune Part 3 is going to be a banger. And I think that it's going to be epic in ways we have yet to even comprehend. I think he's going to go all out. The promise of Arrival, of Blade Runner 2049, to the first two Dune movies is going to be eclipsed by what he does with the third Dune. And I think people undeniably are going to say, you know what? This is too amazing not to award the prize to.
Yeah, I think that we might get a little bit of a Peter Jackson effect here if, like you say, Dune 3 is a banger. If Dune 3 is the banger, the Academy is going to have a very, very hard time not voting for Denis Villeneuve as the result of the accumulation of the whole trilogy. Ralph Fiennes, again, it's so hard because he turned in, listen, there are a lot of years that his Conclave performance would have won Best Lead Actor. Not every year, but there are a number of years that if his performance was in these certain years, he would have won.
And I love him. He's one of my favorite actors. I mean, I love
I
English
still say
Patient.
he's the best actor in the world who doesn't have an Academy
Yeah.
Award right now.
Yeah.
Although Timothée Chalamet may pass him in that pretty soon.
And when I say banger, Paul Atreides does kill 61 billion people in this upcoming movie. And he sterilizes 500 planets.
If, depending on how close Denis decides to follow the film. But I'm going to agree that it's probably going to be Denis. I think Denis is the one who's probably going to get it first because I just don't know if Rafe will get one at this point. So we'll find out. All right, what's next?
Okay, Riff Ranger says, John, what's more likely, The Force Awakens' domestic box office record getting beaten or Avatar's worldwide box office record getting beaten?
Yeah, a lot of people forget that the biggest movie of all time domestically is actually Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It made over $900 million just domestically. And as long as we're not talking about Endgame getting re-released before the new Avengers movie and just slightly passing Avatar, like take that out of it. But like another movie legitimately just coming out and passing the all-time record. I'd say it's actually more likely that the worldwide box office gets beat before the domestic one gets beat. That number that The Force Awakens has is mind-boggling.
It is.
It's absolutely mind-boggling. And so you get the right movie that comes out that maybe really hits in a couple of foreign markets that maybe others haven't hit before and stuff like that. You can catch it. It's going to be really hard to catch, Avatar, but I see that as more likely than the Force Awakens record getting beaten anytime soon at any rate. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that because the numbers for Force Awakens were just bananas there. So I think that worldwide box office is the one to beat, especially because we keep just kind of having this arms race almost of Avatar versus other things. So that just makes more sense to me.
I agree with both of you. I think a $900 million domestic opening is next to impossible. I can't even think of anything that would remotely even come close to that. I mean,
the Avengers movies are coming, and so we'll see what they do.
I mean, if you had with the anticipation of Infinity War and Endgame, maybe, but I don't see that the MCU has that anticipation anymore.
Again, even Avengers Endgame was $100 million behind The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Or maybe Avengers Doomsday come out and beats them both. Beats the all-time worldwide record and the domestic record. Who knows?
Could be.
All right. I think this is our last one, right?
This is our last one.
What's next?
Nyack Thunder says, Rob, what's more likely, Zack Snyder getting a DCU film or Christopher Nolan getting a James Bond film?
I think Christopher Nolan getting a Bond movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that Zack Snyder, I don't know would you want him to come back? I mean, look, as much as Rebel Moon is what it is, I'd much rather see him go and do new original things than go back.
That's how I feel about Nolan, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he would. But then again, you know what? I mean, we love Man of Steel.
Oh, I love that movie.
The thing is, though, if he were to direct, he probably wouldn't be writing it.
Right. Yeah.
So.
See, that's what I was going to say. I actually think it's likely that both of these things happen.
Yeah. I do too.
And because to Jonathan's point, like, whatever you think about Zack Snyder, I think most people, even his biggest detractors, will acknowledge he is a wonderful visual storyteller.
Yeah.
And I think if James Gunn pulled in the reins and worked with a screenwriter or a team of screenwriters and got a really solid script and then handed it over to a Zack Snyder to say, manifest this, bring this one to life, and he's not involved in the writing of it, I think you could have a winner. And also, now that Bezos is in charge of James Bond, Bezos has the ability, with a snap of his fingers, to back up 7 dump trucks of gold bullion up to Christopher Nolan's house and say, do whatever you want to do. Christopher Nolan's been on record as saying he'd love to do a James Bond film. I understand why it couldn't work with the Broccoli family, because the Broccoli family would want somebody to commit for multiple films, so they don't just create one thing and then leave every other director to have to follow that. But with Bezos, and I'm not saying Bezos is going to be a great studio head, don't get me wrong, but I think if Bezos really wants Christopher Nolan, the big thing that could hold it back, though, Christopher Nolan does not like streamers. Even if Amazon commits fully, listen, James Bond's going to be theatrical. He still doesn't like streamers. So I'll say the most likely, even though I think both could happen, I'm going to say is the Zack Snyder thing. I'm going to say Zack Snyder directing is more likely, even though I think they both have a good chance. Chris, what about you?
I was going to go with Snyder because of the streaming issue and how Nolan feels about it. However, there is a caveat to Snyder as well of, do you want to open up just the rhetoric again of the Snyderverse? Do you want that to be like, something that ends up like eclipsing the actual product? The just weird internet jargon and battle that can happen of just, see, this is proof that the Snyderverse lives. No, this is the Snyderverse, which is terrible. No, it's the new version. It's a I don't know.
You know, if I would posit, I'm going to throw this out there.
Sure.
I was a huge fan of the Omega Men, which was a spinoff of New Teen Titans.
Loved them.
I love the Omega Men and the original incarnation. I would love to see Zack Snyder make an Omega Men movie.
Oh, that'd be badass.
I think
that'd be a really fun way to deal with that
because
kind
that's
of
like
issue.
that truly is a cosmic. I would love to see them. do
On that vein, you know what my first thought was? A Lobo film. I think you do pretty good with a Lobo film. And like I think, Chris, you're absolutely 100% right. That's the danger that it presents. I think there is a potential upside, though, that if done right, it could end that discussion. I mean, if done right, it could end the discussion of the Snyder saying, oh, yeah, like this was a great movie.
Well-
James Gunn produced it, got this guy to write it, Zach directed it. It was a part of this new vision, and it worked great. But you're right; it could go the other way. And
Yeah.
become
Did you
very,
see
very
that
toxic.
picture? James Gunn did put a picture of him and Zack Snyder.
Oh, we talked about it.
Well, and
Yeah.
even that, the internet started losing their minds.
And-
Like, see, this is the revision of the Snyderverse.
Yeah, no. A Lobo movie with Jason Momoa as Lobo, directed by Zack Snyder. I would get excited.
What if
for
Zack
that.
Snyder did like I was thinking like Wildcats. You guys remember that run, Wildcats?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And the question is for you, what do you think about any of these scenarios of what's more likely? Whatever your take on any of these questions are, jump down into our comments section and let us know what you think. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, we've got a load of stuff lined up for us for 2025. We're still just in the first quarter of 2025. Everything's so exciting. Everything's looking great. But I thought it would be interesting to take a minute and remember that there's a lot of stuff coming in 2026, specifically from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. More things than you might expect. Like when I put the list together, I was like, oh my God, how much stuff is coming out in 2026? And there's a lot. And I thought it'd be fun for us to go down and rank not only everything that's coming out, but in what order we are most excited for. So here we go. This is my order, and then I'm going to ask Rob and Chris what they think of my 8 most anticipated things coming from Marvel in 2026. I'm going to start off with number 8. And at number 8, I've got your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I am not as in love with this first season as most people,
I am.
but I gotta say, I liked it more than I thought I
Yeah.
would. I did. I still don't think it's great, but I think it's good. And so them doing a second season, sign me up. It's still down at the bottom of my list, but I'll be there to check it out. At number 7, X-Men 97 Season 2. We don't have an official release date yet, but Winterbomb did say that it will come out in 2026. So once we get the official release date, we'll of course talk about that more. But listen, I don't think X-Men 97 was like the greatest thing ever, as some people did, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it enough that I stayed up till midnight every night that a new episode was dropping, and I checked it out. I thought it was a worthy successor to the original X-Men animated series. So X-Men 97 Season 2 is in my number 7 spot. In my number 6 spot, Wonder Man. I was not that interested before. Because, you know, one of my criticisms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been they're throwing too many new characters at us too quickly. Like, you need new characters, but I felt like there's just been this overwhelming glut of new characters. I thought Wonder Man was just another one of those. But listen, you got Sir Ben Kingsley reprising his role in there, and I love him. As Travis, is that his character's name?
Yes.
Travis? Trevor, thank you.
Slattery, right?
Trevor, his character is like, I know a lot of people at first, like in the Iron Man, I was like, this is stupid, but I'll tell you what, man, more and more that once they did the whole little Marvel short thing with him in prison and then breaking him
Right.
out,
The one shot.
that then led into Shang-Chi. I love this character. And Yahya Abdul-Mateen, I mean, what can you say about him? The guy's a great actor. And I've actually been hearing some not bad things about it. So Wonder Man for me climbs all the way up to my number 6. In my number 5 spot, Vision Quest. Listen, I love Paul Bettany. I've always liked the Vision character. And Metalis being announced as being the showrunner of it, I think there's a load of possibilities there. They're also like bringing back the villain from Iron Man 1. Not
Obadiah Stane?
no, not Obadiah Stane, but the guy who was the supposed member of the Ten Rings, who takes
With the in the beginning and at the cave.
at the beginning of the cave.
Oh, wow.
And apparently he's coming back to do this. A bunch of does Star-Lord show up in this? I mean, depending on what the art was. Anyway, either way, I got Vision Quest in my number 5. At number 4 of my most anticipated Marvel thing in 2026, the Punisher special. Oh God, I was just pure giddy. Not just because we're going to get a Punisher story, but also because it marks the return of Marvel's special events. Now, this is going to be short. It's probably, I'm going to guess this is going to be like 35 minutes.
I think maybe 50.
Think that long?
Yeah.
Was even Werewolf by
Because
Night
I think
that
Werewolf
long?
by Night was 50.
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night was 50.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 40 something, but okay. So maybe it'll be that long. Maybe it'll be a little bit shorter, but still, I love both seasons of Punisher that we had on Netflix. I love John Bernthal in the role. So Punisher is my number 4. In my number 3 spot, even though I haven't watched season 1 yet, Daredevil Born Again season 2. Of course, again, Winterbomb, the head of Marvel Television, has confirmed that the next season, which already has started production, by the way.
Thank goodness.
They've already started production on Daredevil season 2. They're shooting right now. It's going to be out next year. Now, maybe I'll change my mind about that after I watch the first few episodes of Daredevil Born Again season 1. Maybe I won't like it, but for right now, Daredevil Born Again season 2, I'm just so excited for this property returning. Yes, we saw Matt in Spider-Man No Way Home. Yes, we saw Matt in She-Hulk, but I mean, the show, the series, Daredevil, 16 and a half year absence, finally getting him back tonight. We're going to talk about that more in just a little bit, but I'm at number 3, Daredevil Born Again season 2. My number 2 most anticipated thing coming from Marvel in 2026, Spider-Man 4. It's going to be interesting not having John Watts directing, because he's directed the previous 3. But you got Destin in there directing it, who, of course, did such a marvelous job with Shang-Chi. Tom Holland returning. They've spent a number of years wanting to get this thing right before they went into production. Coming out in 2026. Can't wait for it. The question is, will it take place before Battle World, in Battle World? Will it connect in? We'll see how they're going to do it. But Spider-Man episode 4 is my number 2 most anticipated thing. And my number 1 most anticipated Marvel Cinematic Universe property for 2026 is, of course, Blade. Avengers Doomsday. Obviously, it's Avengers Doomsday. Because, listen, I don't think it's hyperbole to say this movie's a make or break movie for Marvel. Like, honestly, you knock it out of the park with Avengers Doomsday, everything's right in the world. Like, Deadpool and Wolverine being such a success definitely got things steering in the right direction and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure Daredevil will continue that. Hopefully Thunderbolts will as well. But you drop the ball on an Avengers movie, that could be really bad. But you do it really well. It doesn't even have to be the best one they've done. Just do it really well. All is right in the world. And like with everything they've already been teasing between the concept art and everything else, the big announcement of Robert Downey Jr. and everything, that's got to be it. So again, here's my order of things in order of anticipation for 2026 for the MCU. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, X-Men 97 season 2, Wonder Man. By the way, technically, Wonder Man is a 2025 thing.
Yeah.
It launches at the end of 2025, but I'm counting it because it's also going to have episodes in 2026. So I'm just kind of counting that, even though maybe I shouldn't. Anyway, at number 5, Vision Quest. At number 4, The Punisher Special. At number 3, Daredevil Born Again Season 2. At number 2, Spider-Man 4. And my number 1 most anticipated coming out of Marvel is obviously Avengers Doomsday. Chris, let's go over to you. There's a lot of stuff coming from Marvel Studios,
Yeah.
some bigger, some smaller. What's your order of anticipation?
Get ready to disagree with me. Woo! I hate making lists because it's all subjective. It's just down to personal taste. I took a very different approach than you, and I put Daredevil season 2 in that bottom slot because I need to see season 1 before I can anticipate season 2.
That's rational. There's
So
nothing
I
wrong
went
with that.
I
Vision.
already hate this list.
I knew you would. You'd be like, that list is woke. I hate
Yeah,
it.
it's stupid.
MCU list over here, man. Am I right? Vision Quest I have next, just because while I love Terry Matalas and I love what he's done with Star Trek, pretty much most of it. I'm making sure I don't get any ire from you. I just don't know what the show is still. And so it's I'm interested to learn more about Vision, but also, okay, I need to know more about it in general. Next up, the Punisher special. Love Bernthal. I think he's an incredible, incredible actor. I'm very interested to see what he's going to bring to the page here. I'm interested to see what he does with the script. Then I would go with Wonder Man, just because I freaking love that character, and Yaya is insane. What a great actor, and I think this is going to be such a fun show. Then next for me is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2, because I freaking loved this show. I thought this was so charming and so fun, and there was real peril, and I really enjoyed it. And oh my gosh, we're giving me Spider-Gwen? Come on. Then Avengers Doomsday. Then X-Men 97, because I think that first season is near perfect. And then I end with Spider-Man 4, because Spider-Man is my guy. That's my favorite superhero of all time. And anytime I get to see Spider-Man on screen makes me happy.
So you've got Endgame, or Doomsday, I should say, in the number 3 spot.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I forgot
Interesting.
Doomsday. Yeah, there. Avengers Doomsday. Yeah.
Interesting. So your number 1 is going to be Spider-Man 4.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love Peter Parker.
That's
my guy.
The movies have been so good so far, and you're losing your director, but you're getting the Shang-Chi director in. I mean, that's why I got it my number 2. Anyway, Rob, how would you order your list, your order of anticipation for
Mine's,
this?
I guess, kind of close to yours. I'm going to go Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man at the bottom, and then followed by X-Men 97, because animation isn't real. It's animation. I got to go live. Only live action is real. Sorry, Brandon. I'm already getting the DM.
By the way, animation is just for kids. Just in case anybody didn't know that, animation is.
Well, I don't think
just
that,
Furious.
but
clearly I do
Furious
not
over
believe
here.
that.
and then I'm going to go with Daredevil Born Again Season 2 for the same reason Chris is, because I haven't seen Season 1, but it'll probably be higher.
Yeah.
Then Wonder Man, and because I've heard it's good and I want to see it. Could be that. Could be good. Then I would go with a Punisher special, not knowing what it is.
It's kind of in the middle for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Punisher
Yeah.
special. Then I'm going to go with, where am I? Daredevil's Punisher special. I'm going to go with Spider-Man 4. Then with, am I up to 2 now?
Yeah.
I think I'm up to 2.
I think so.
Now, my number 2 is Vision Quest.
Well, yes. I mean, with
I
Terry
mean, and
running it,
I'll,
yeah.
and I'll say this because it's not just because of Star Trek, but Terry Matalas show ran 12 Monkeys. He created and show ran the 4 seasons of 12 Monkeys, which was an incredible science fiction. It's one of the best time travel shows ever done. And I think he has a real handle on science fiction. And seeing what he did just in the brief moments that Data was in Picard season 3, I think he's going to bring us something that I think he's going to bring us some great science fiction, some great Marvel, and some great Vision, all wrapped into one delicious confection. Only because I think that's his wheelhouse. And I think he's going to elevate, at least for me, what a Marvel MCU series has been so far. I think it's going to be very elevated. And then, of course, number 1, because I love the Avengers Doomsday. I mean, how can I not? The only problem is I wish I was anticipating it more, but knowing after seeing whether those leaked, whether that artwork is true or not, and even if it's from Secret Wars, if that's the direction they're going, I don't care about the rest of the MCU. I just want to see that. I want to see, and I'm so hyped. I got the omnibus from Cheap Graphic Novels of Secret Wars and Secret Wars Battle World. Can't wait to get them. I'm going to delve in and read the whole thing again. I'm getting hyped.
I again, my anticipation starting to build. It's really weird. We are in like 2 months. We are only going to be 1 year away from Avengers Doomsday.
I know.
Like it still kind of feels like it's something down the road. It's going to be like in 3 or 4 years. It's literally we're almost just a year away from it. It's kind of crazy. So, and listen, maybe after tonight and we see the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, maybe we'll be even more excited about the MCU, or maybe we'll lose some of our enthusiasm for the MCU. Who knows? Guys, question is for you. How would you order in your ranking of anticipation for all the Marvel stuff coming in 2026? I mean, our lists all were different. Maybe yours would be too. Maybe it's the same as one of ours. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Our 6.5 year wait for Daredevil's return, not just as a cameo in somebody else's movie or show, but to truly return, happens tonight. It's here. I still remember sitting in the convention center in Anaheim at D23 17 years ago, it feels like, when Kevin Feige came out and announced that Daredevil is returning with, at the time, I think they said an 18 episode season, but whatever, we're clearly not getting that anymore. And that was forever ago. That was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I think it was the same time they announced Moon Knight. Yes, it was. It was the exact same
you texted me.
Yes, I did.
You texted me with the moon. Yeah.
I'm sitting in this thing and like, they just announced Moon Knight, Rob. And I texted Rob immediately. They just announced Moon Knight. It's like, son, with the capital exclamation points. It was the same time. And we had Moon Knight ages ago. But tonight is the night. It's here. Daredevil Born Again launches tonight at 6 p.m. Los Angeles time, 9 p.m. New York and Toronto time. And as we already mentioned, we're going to be doing an after show with it at 9 p.m. Los Angeles time. So for those of you who are able to watch it right away, make sure you come and join us for that later tonight. But it's here. Rob, the journey this show has gone through to finally get on the screen, like from being announced so many years ago, from being an 18 episode thing, then them nearing finishing production, Kevin Feige then getting his authority back and saying, this is not what we are happy with. We're not happy with this. They scrapped almost like a huge chunk of it, went back to the drawing board, re-envisioned it as an 8 episode or a 9 episode, 8 or 9, I can't remember now, episode season. And they went from it not being the same Daredevil as from Netflix to then changing it to, now it is the continuation of Netflix, although they're not calling it Daredevil season 4. It's Daredevil Born Again season 1, but still a continuation. And now it's finally here. I wanted to ask both of you guys, what is it you're each looking for? Like when you turn it on tonight, Rob, and you're sitting down, not what does the story have to be, but what are the qualities about it that you're looking for that can continue this journey that Deadpool and Wolverine did of keeping the course correction going for the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
As always, I'm looking for a great story and great characters. And look, I want to see a story that has depth, that has, and I'm sorry, but I see myself comparing and contrasting this to what Penguin did, only because you're pretty much set in the real world, quote unquote, the real world.
The street level characters.
Street level characters dealing with street level corruption. Wilson Fisk, what are his plans now that he's mayor? And I just see that everything that I love about crime stories, I want to see embodied in this show. So the deliciousness of what I love about Daredevil, but I want to see real stakes. I want to see real pathos, real peril for our characters, both morally and ethically, in addition to physically. I want to see real tough questions being posed and even more difficult answers, if that makes any sense. Basically, I'm expecting Godfather level greatness from this.
Not to be unrealistic.
Yeah, no, I want to see what Michael Mann's Heat does. What roll it into Thief, The Insider, all of Michael Mann's street level movies. Come on, bring it on. That's what I want. I mean, I'm expecting. Look, I'm not gonna lie. My expectations are higher than they've ever been, or certainly lately for the MCU. I want this to be a 9 or 10. In terms of my rankings, I'm expecting the best. And if it's not, I'll be disappointed. And I know that's a tough thing for me to say, but I read the comic series Born Again, and I know it's probably has nothing really to do with that. But when that comic book series was released, it took my interest in Daredevil, who I liked, and shot it up to the top of my stack. And for those of you who collect comics, you know what that means. I want this show to go to the top of my stack. And I'm expecting it will. Don't
Chris,
let me down.
What types of qualities, what things are you looking for? Again, we're not talking about, it's got to have this story, but I mean, the qualities of it, the things, maybe things that were in the other one, maybe things that were missing from one. What are you looking for in this show tonight?
Catholic guilt. That's what I want. I want so much Catholic guilt. As a recovering Catholic, if you were still Catholic, I love that for you. That's wonderful. The church and I just didn't work out. I love Catholic imagery, though. I love the duality of dealing with your faith and having to move forward in a world that is less than kind and less than just, and trying to find your way while balancing your own faith and moral code. I love the idea of debating whether or not you can pull your punches. And I feel like that kind of character study is so interesting and so absolutely integral to who Matt Murdock is. And so I'm hoping we have some really, really wonderful explorations of his faith and how he's feeling about all of that. I hope we see Kingpin just being an absolute beast. But also, I love those tender moments with him and his wife. Again, I love that duality that you can be a merciless crime boss. I love that you can be out for number one, but then you find this person who you will burn the world for them instead.
You hurt Vanessa.
Yeah, the Vanessa stuff. And I'm so excited to have your Vanessa impression come back. Oh my God, Jonathan. Yes.
What's going to happen if you ever get possessed?
If who gets
If I ever get possessed?
Yeah, because what the Catholic Church and you have split. Like,
Oh man, who's to say I haven't been already?
oh,
That's why all those voices pop
have you
out there, right?
have you met Chrissy?
Yeah. She's a
no.
nightmare.
So then here's you look. The elephant in the room question, of course, is I'll put it to both of you: yes or no. Is Foggy dead?
Foggy.
Is Foggy dead? Because remember, we've seen a lot more images with Karen than we have of Foggy. Foggy talks about, or Matt talks about in the one clip that a line was crossed. I'm wondering if we're going to see Foggy in like the flashbacks, but the death of Foggy is one of the things that has Matt no longer being Daredevil, because there's the funeral scene we've seen promo images of. We don't see a lot of Foggy. I mean, does Foggy die in one of the flashbacks?
ooh.
Yes?
know what?
No?
I think that's. I wouldn't bet against that. So tonight's Foggy Death Watch, night one.
Why do you all want me to be so sad? Why do you take everyone I love and go, I bet they're going to be murdered?
I mean,
Foggy
that-
Bear needs to be safe.
It ups the dramatic stakes, though.
It does. I understand that. But I also really like Foggy as that foil to Matt, too, of just be a lawyer, man.
Well, he's that
Be
conscience-
a good lawyer.
He's that good conscience on the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Because Karen doesn't give a fuck.
She's like,
Karen will be like, yeah, let's go
party!
shoot some people.
Let's do some porn.
Heroin addicted OnlyFans Karen
Yeah.
Page. That's what's gonna happen.
But Foggy, you need him there, I feel, to keep Matt tethered. But then maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what happens later is without Foggy, who is he? Is he only the devil?
Karen being Karen.
So, by the way, it's because I don't think Karen dies, because the actress who plays Karen, she just made a comment in an interview. I'll just read it here. It says, she's this: I knew when I met with Marvel the first time that Karen Page, as a character, as an entity, as part of this world, is super important. I'm very excited for the fans and everybody to see how that evolves and what's to come. Without giving too much away, I could say that if that relationship and if that character matters to you, you will be very satisfied. So it doesn't sound to me like Karen's going anywhere.
I don't know.
Do you think that could be a misdirect?
I feel like that could be if this character is very important to you, then we are going very comic book accurate. What say you,
Again,
Rob?
she says, as an entity, as a part of this world, Karen's super important. Or maybe her death is what's important.
I mean,
It could be.
Yeah, so I don't know. I still think it's Foggy. I think
do
Foggy
you know
dies.
things or something? You're not saying
I don't know anything.
Okay.
I don't know. I have specifically stayed away from this show because I'm
Okay.
People have tried to tell me. I don't.
You
wanna
were
know
just doing a lot of very cool, like, I don't know.
No, I don't.
Like,
Well,
he said he was
look,
correct.
only because of what Karen Page has been through hell in the
Yeah.
pages of the Daredevil comic, and especially in the Born Again comic.
Woof.
What if they both die? Like, what if he loses Karen and Foggy?
You know what though? I don't think that they would.
Remember, originally, when they first shot the show, there was no Karen and Foggy.
Right.
They weren't
Yeah.
there at all. They were added in the second iteration. Maybe they were just added to kill him off.
I don't think they would. Oh yeah.
Maybe not. No, I'm
Ooh.
not saying they
Oh,
will.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. This. I'm
Oh,
not saying they
Karen.
will. I'm just throwing the possibility out there. So,
I love that your hypotheticals are always like, but what if everyone's dead?
what if everyone's
But what if
miserable and
everyone's miserable
sad?
and murdered?
You know
All
what would be great for revenge is if someone
if
dies.
someone dies.
Guys, the question is for you. Some's got to get Matt mad. What do you guys think about this? What are you looking forward to in the return after 6.5 years of Daredevil tonight? Who lives? Who dies? Will it be good? Will it not? What are you anticipating? What elements should be there to get you excited? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends over at Hungryroot. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Hungryroot. You know, grocery shopping used to be one of the biggest struggles. Between your busy schedule and wanting to eat healthier, it just feels impossible to stay on top of everything. But all that changes when you discover Hungryroot, the easiest way to eat healthy without the hassles. Hungryroot is like having your own personal grocery shopper. They take care of the weekly shopping for you, recommending healthy, high-quality groceries tailored to your tastes, nutritional preferences, and even health goals. They've got it all: smoothies, snacks for the kids, ready-to-eat meals, and even supplements. For me, Hungryroot is absolutely a game changer, guys. My health goals have become so much easier to stick to. I love how they personalize my cart every week and even get smart about my preferences as I go. It's honestly stress-free and so simple. You're going to love Hungryroot as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Campea and use the code Campea. That's hungryroot.com/Campea, using the code Campea to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, Ray Ora has joined us in the room.
Yeah.
Let's jump over and start taking your questions, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Baldur's Grape says, I don't love Anora. I do love that movies like this, Oppenheimer, Everything Everywhere All at Once, are winning Best Picture. They're actually general audience friendly. Instead of niche films that outside of our film bubble people aren't taking the time to view, it's good for cinema.
Yeah, I mean, well, what's also good for cinema is that great films win. I got to tell you, I did love Anora. It wasn't my favorite film of the year. Dune 2 obviously was my favorite film of the year, but I was floored with the quality of Anora, the real depth of human emotion that came out of it, the dynamics, the dialogue, everything felt so grounded and so real. And I just can't, I thought it was a brilliant, brilliant film. And I couldn't be happier for Sean Baker and winning all those awards and Mikey Madison winning. And it really deserved, but yes, it's always great when quality films win. And they're also like films that are outside of the normal lanes. And so I thought it was just great for movies in general. That $6 million film won Best Picture. I think that's great. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I'm a very late 90s kid, and I feel like I'm the last Lucasfilm fan out there. I moved to Hollywood for Indiana Jones 5, and I thought it was a decent movie. I just got finished playing The Great Circle. To be honest, it's one of my favorite adventures, worth every minute. Well, The Great Circle has gotten a lot of acclaim.
Yeah, everybody was so mad at first when it was first person.
Uh-huh.
It's like, we want to see Indiana Jones. And I get it. That's definitely a preference. My preference is also third person. But everybody's so mad. But yeah, man, I got to tell you, I've not played it myself, but I've talked to a number of people who have. And I've read a bunch of reviews, and everybody's saying like really good things. Did you ever get a chance to try?
Yeah, I did. I actually think
what did you think about it?
It's really good. I got it to, I think, the third. I'm only 3 hours in. Just 3 hours. But what's better than being at Indiana Jones? You know, like you could control him or you could be him. And I thought being him worked for that game. He's such an iconic character. The voice actor sounds exactly like him. All the little sound effects and stuff just crack me up every time. It's like the punch that sounds like you just killed a person and his family with one punch. Like it's just a ridiculous thing. It takes you back to the first. I've only seen the first movie and the last movie, so it reminds me of the first movie a lot more than the last one.
All right, what's next?
We got George Ant. Hey, John, longtime viewer from Latvia. Wanted to just say how happy we are for Flo winning the Oscar. It's a huge deal for us. It's like winning a World Cup. Whole nation is celebrating and will inspire many people. Stay awesome, John and crew.
Dude, I can completely relate because like whenever even an actor does well who is Canadian, I celebrate it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and so when like if an animated film from Canada won Best Picture, I would be freaking out too. So I totally agree. And it's one of the great things about movies too, is when we can identify with it and celebrate it. I think that's great. And I couldn't have been happier for you guys for. I mean, again, I still would have given the Oscar to Wild Robot, but if it wasn't going to be Wild Robot, it definitely should have been Flo. And I think that's great.
Is that the same place that Dr. Doom is from?
No, that's Latveria.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Doom is from a
sorry.
fictitious country.
I'm sorry. I thought they actually used
All right, what's next?
All right. James LH, John R.A. Gene Hackman, my favorite lead role is Mississippi Burning. I love how you have been encouraging people to see it. He actually lost out on the Oscar in '89 to Dustin Hoffman's Rain Man. Goes to show the difficulty it is to win an Oscar.
Yeah, winning an Oscar. I mean, listen, Ray Fiennes this year, Timothy Chalamet this year, both gave Oscar-worthy performances and didn't win because another guy gave an Oscar-worthy performance in Adrian Brody. So, I mean, it's incredibly hard. But Gene Hackman did get a couple of wins. He had a couple of Oscars on his mantle. And so he was good. He was covered. But yeah, man, Mississippi Burning, that is a movie. Remember, I always say movies are experiential events. You will finish that movie shaken. Like it's such a powerful film. It definitely delivers the experience. And again, if you have not seen it, this is a great time. I mean, with the passing of Gene Hackman, this is a great excuse for you to finally sit down and watch Mississippi Burning. Willem Dafoe is fabulous in it too, but you got to watch it. It's just such a good film. All right, what's next?
James follows up with a two-parter. Regards the Oscars memoriam. I know it's broadcast time, but I'm curious how they decide who should be omitted. Every year there are some obvious ones. This year was no exception, but I was still surprised to see the omission of an actor who had a prominent role in two of the biggest ever Oscar-winning films. I'm talking about Captain of the Titanic, King of Rohan, Theoden himself, Bernard Hill. It would have been fitting tribute to hear Arise, Arise, Riders of Theoden played during the memoriam.
That was the one that did surprise me a bit, that he was. Now, other people mentioned like Michelle Trachtenberg.
Mm-hmm.
I understood why they maybe omitted her because she was more of a TV personality than she was a movie person. Yes, she was in Inspector Gadget, but she was really more of a television thing than a movie thing. The Academy is for the motion picture industry. So I was okay with that. Like at the television, the next television Emmy Academy ones, they should definitely have her on that because she was more of a television personality. So I was okay with that. But Theoden, that one was probably an oversight because you're right. He was in two of the most celebrated films of all time in Titanic and a couple of the Lord of the Rings films. That one had to have been an oversight. And listen, I get it. Like you're putting these in memoriams together and maybe one or two fall through. Look, and it's easy for us on the outside looking in going, oh, you should have had this person in there. It's easy for us to do that. And every year there always seems to be one or two ones that slip through the cracks, but that was the one that did surprise me that he wasn't on there. All right, what's next?
Breaking news.
What's that?
Breaking news. They just revealed the Funko Pop of the century from Thunderbolts.
Oh yeah, there it is.
He looks great, actually, and I don't know if this is a spoiler or not.
Jonathan, you want to try to pull that up?
Sure.
But
Not really a spoiler.
They also revealed all the other Thunderbolts.
Well, if it's public information, if it's out and released publicly.
The thing is, it's just because his costume. Like, I didn't see that costume at all in the trailer.
Yeah,
maybe they'll save it for here it is.
There you go. That's on there.
Wow.
He's very sparkly in gold. But I will report any Century news that comes up. I'm sorry, I hate
We
it.
appreciate it.
Hate to interrupt the question.
That's not bad, actually. I mean, it's just a Funko Pop. But that's not bad.
I'll take anything I could get.
All right. All right, what's next?
Okay, where are we? The Tick. I don't remember the immediate fallout of Rise of Skywalker, but did J.J. Abrams get the brunt of the fan backlash? I ask because he seems to have faded into the background since only producer credits for some movies, TV shows, since that I didn't know exist.
Yeah, JJ, I mean, listen, he's still there. He's still got his company. They're still doing things in the background, but he really did kind of disappear after the Rise of Skywalker. And listen, Rise of Skywalker is an abomination. It's a terrible film. It really is. But I think really good chefs will sometimes make a bad dish. Really good directors will sometimes make bad movies. It happens. Not everybody, like even Michael Jordan heaved up a couple of air balls. But I still think JJ is a very good storyteller, very good filmmaker. But yeah, that doesn't take away from the fact that Rise of Skywalker was a complete abomination. It's terrible, and the impact was so strong that he's kind of faded in obscurity. He even killed a couple of film deals he had. Do I think he'll be back? 100%. 100% do I believe he will be back. But yeah, I did think that one did hurt him a bit. All right. What's next?
Dildar, the glorious.
Chef Rigo in the live chat saying, even Chef Rigo has a bad dish. I don't believe that, Chef Rigo. I don't believe that at all.
I haven't heard from Rigo in a while. Good to hear
Yeah,
from
he
him.
hates it.
All right, what's next?
Dildar the Glorious says, I don't know if any of you have seen the Rookie TV show, but I've been really liking it lately as has a great character drama and it can be insanely funny at times. And Nathan Fillion is amazing as always. I suggest giving it a try if you can.
Come on, Dildor, you watch this show. I've talked about The Rookie many times. I really like The Rookie. Now, do I think it's as good? Do I think it's the best Nathan Fillion show ever? Well, no, that still belongs to Firefly. But it's a wonderful show. Nathan Fillion is great. My one criticism of the show is that there have been a couple of the seasons where I think Nathan Fillion, this show works best when Nathan Fillion is the center of the show. And I feel like in their attempt to be more of a ensemble show, a couple of their seasons have really focused more on the other characters than on him. And you want to give the other characters some spotlight time too. Absolutely. But I think when this show works best is when it is revolving around the Rookie. It's revolving around Nathan Fillion, his character. And I think they need to keep it there. Again, have significant stuff for the other characters to do. But again, sometimes it doesn't even feel like it's his show anymore. And that's when the show doesn't quite work as well for me. But overall, I really do enjoy it. All right, what's next?
JB says, as an Aussie fan, I wish I was in Vegas at the same time as you, as our National Rugby League held their first round of Allegiant Stadium. You would have loved it, in my opinion. It's definitely better than NFL because we don't need pesky pads. Just kidding. I love NFL too.
Little side note. Your rugby team came into the theater and sat in front of me and Ann at the Kevin Hart show. And they came in their jerseys. That was the funny thing. You could tell that the coach was there and they came in their jerseys and they sat down, well, 2 rows in front, not right in front of us, but 2 rows in front of us. Their team came in and sat down and watched because the Kevin Hart show didn't start till like after 9 p.m. And Hart himself didn't get on stage till about 10:30, 10:45. 9:30, 9:45, 10 o'clock. And they came in and watched it there. So, yeah, there you go. It's funny because a lot of people wrote to me when I wrote I was in Vegas. A lot of people, are you there to see rugby? I had no idea rugby was going on. But that's a little neat connection there. All right, what's next?
Christopher says, what I would do, recast Black Panther as a different universe as T'Challa, have him survive an incursion and witness the destruction of his own universe. At the end of the Secret Wars, have the main universe foster him as our new Black Panther. Then you can tell a story where T'Challa has to ask himself, how do I decide to love you knowing you look, sound, breathe like my family, but I know you're not. Expand on that. Should have been Gamora's storyline. Would the audience accept this change?
Yes, the audience would accept the change. 100% they would. There's going to be a faction of the audience that doesn't, but I believe that would be a small percentage. I think they would. And I think that's honestly what they are probably going to do. I don't know that they're doing that. I'm just guessing, just a guess. But I'm guessing that's what they're going to do. That we're going to be introduced to another version of T'Challa from one of the other realities. And then that T'Challa will come into this reality once they end the stupid multiverse stuff. And that will be our new T'Challa. That's my guess. I think that's what they're going to do. And I do think if they do it well, provided they do it well, yeah, the general audience will absolutely get on board with it as a way to continue honoring Chadwick Boseman and the character that he brought us first. All right, what's next?
Okay, 3-parter from Johnny. So I finally finished watching Daredevil 1 and 2, and where I left off with Daredevil Season 3 plus Defenders. Until Born Again, I lost interest in it after they were canceled for some reasons. And I got to say, even though I love the show, I'm still not convinced the MCU version are the same characters for the show.
That is official. It's not speculation. It is actually official now.
I don't know. The Kingpin felt very different in Hawkeye and Echo, and Matt was just a cameo guest appearance. I know Netflix referenced small things like it's a shared universe, but honestly, they could have ignored them if they wanted. The shows are better off if they aren't connected. I felt like they were different, made by 2 studios. It feels Season 3 ended perfectly, but still roll with it. Give the new show a chance.
Remember when She-Hulk was shot and when Echo was shot, they had not yet made the decision that the new Daredevil was going to be connected to the Netflix Daredevil.
Right.
So if you feel like they were portrayed differently, it's because they were going to be new characters. Yes, it was still played by the same actor, but it wasn't the same Kingpin from Netflix. So when they shot Echo and when they shot She-Hulk, yeah, it was Matt and yeah, it was Kingpin, but they were a new Matt and a new Kingpin. So that's why they probably felt different. But in the meantime, they made the decision to go back, reshoot it all, and they decided that, yes, this is a continuation of these characters from the Netflix series. So yeah, it's understandable that they felt different before, but now it's actually official. All right, what's next?
Ryan says, I discovered AMC Screen Unseen 3 weeks ago. I've seen Zoe, Last Breath, and Novocaine early. They were all really great. I lost my dad in December and my little brother 5 years ago.
Sorry.
My Dead Friend watered my eyes. I recommend it since you like shrinking. Thanks, crew. Have you heard of that? My Dead Friend?
Yeah. One of the great things, by the way, I still haven't seen Novocaine because Novocaine dropped when Ann and I were driving to Vegas. So Ann and I got to go see Novocaine this week. It's becoming harder now because Ann is getting ready to graduate. By the way, I'm going to show this picture on the show. I put this up on my social media, but I want you guys to see it myself. Hold on, let me bring it up here. So before I show this picture, so my wife Ann has been in school basically since we've been married. I feel like the only reason I'm still working is to pay for her education. But my wife has 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, and right now she's working on her doctorate. And she's getting ready to graduate in just a couple of months. So her graduation robes have been coming in. Now, when you're graduating with a doctorate, your cap is a little bit different. So her cap showed than a regular, the square graduation cap. So her cap showed up and she tried it on and I looked at her and I said, "You look familiar. You look like somebody." This is the picture that I then showed Ann. So this is Ann with her graduation cap. And I said, "You look like somebody. You look like somebody." So yes, my wife has become Lord Farquaad. Interesting thing. Ann will be the first Dr. Campea.
Yeah.
The first Dr. Campea. And I said, I'll call her like the way Short Round says Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones, Dr. Campea. That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, so there's that. All right, what's next?
Rob, the other Rob, Buck. File this under, I'd like to see it, but I'd like Bruce to end Doomsday saying, "We have a problem," only for Doom to say, "I have a Hulk." And the reveal would be able to, that he's able to separate Banner from the monster.
Yeah, no. You did that line, "We have a Hulk." I don't think you revisit that line. I think that line would come across as cheesy and dumb. So no, I don't think you redo it. Now, again, there's the irony there because it's Robert Downey Jr. saying the line again.
Right.
But I don't think they'll do that. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Aaron who says, "Hi, John and crew. There are 3 movies that have won 11 Oscars and only one man has been in 2 of them, Bernard Hill. How someone decided not to include him in the memoriam boggles my mind. I'm curious about your thoughts. Is this a massive oversight?"
Yeah, I think, listen, guys, everybody decides to get outraged over. Listen, I loved him, obviously. I think King Theoden is one of the greatest characters in movies ever. I think he probably solo has 3 of the top 20 greatest lines ever in movies, but I don't think anybody made the decision not to put him in. I really don't. I really do think it was an oversight. It's going to happen. I'm not really all that worked up about it. I mean, is it unfortunate? Yes. But at the end of the day, didn't really do anything. No. So again, if I had been in the room and they said, "Hey, should we have him on the list?" Obviously, yes. But it was an oversight. It happens every year. There's always going to be 1 or 2. They get like, I lost count. How many did they put up on the screen? 40,
so many.
50, 60, 70. I'm not sure. But I honestly do feel like it was just an oversight. All right. What's next?
Okay, Matan has a 2-parter. Now that the Oscars are over and our eyes are is to the Emmys, I feel that the primetime Emmys need animation as a 4th pillar in the main night with drama, comedy, and limited. You could always do category fraud. The primetime Emmys have an animated program, but it's the creative arts night and only for singular episodes and not full seasons, which I feel is wrong. I feel that animation deserves the same treatment as limited series.
Nah. I mean, listen, the Emmy animation gets is every bit an Emmy as anything else. It's not like it's a tinier statue. It's the full Emmy. You get the full Emmy and it counts and all that kind of stuff. The problem is like limited series now are more numerous than animated shows, like legitimate primetime animated shows. It's the same issue I have with like why I don't think the Oscars should have a voiceover category, because there's not enough of it yet. It's too small of a bucket. You need, like, you can't have one category have literally 2,000 potential nominees and then another category have 20 potential nominees. You know what I mean? So there's just not enough of it. So I don't mind. I think it's great just that they even have legitimate full Emmys for those shows. But let's be honest, the reason they separate them out is because of what's going to draw the viewership. And I just don't think so. The Emmy counts every bit as much. I don't mind that it's not part of the main Emmy broadcast. I'm okay with that until it expands and until there's more like legitimate competition for it. I'm okay that they don't have it there. And I don't feel like it's disrespectful at all. I think it just is what it is. All right, what's next?
Cody Hunt Films. I'm someone who hasn't seen the Netflix Daredevil series. Do you think it's required viewing before starting Born Again?
I don't think so.
It wouldn't hurt.
I
but
mean,
yeah.
I haven't seen the new show to say that definitively. Here's what I would do. Like last night, just because it's been so many years since we've watched Daredevil, Ann and I sat down and watched this like 25-minute video by the guys over at Screen Crush. And they did just look for a Daredevil series recap. And there's like an hour and a half long one. We found one that was just like 25 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. And they did a great job of going through the show. So if you really want to do that and you don't have a lot of time, just look that up. Go watch that. But I have a feeling, considering the original series wasn't even going to be connected to the Netflix series, I think you'll be able to just jump on board and you'll be fine. But you'll probably appreciate it even more if you did go back and watch it at some point. Anyway. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Logan says Daredevil. Oh no. Gavin says, John, I'm pumped for Born Again tonight. Season 3 was my favorite season and what got me into the show. I was starting college when it aired, so it feels surreal that it's been 7 years since it premiered. Which season was your favorite and why? I can't remember season to season.
I just remember just the whole story
Yeah,
of
that's the
Daredevil.
thing.
I don't know which one was my favorite season. I'll just leave it at that. When did Frank show up? Frank didn't show up in season 1, did he? He didn't show up till season 2, right? Yeah. So I'm going to say season 2, but I reserve the right to take that back because I don't really remember the delineations between the seasons. To be honest, again, it's been almost 7 years, been 6.5 years.
Yeah.
But I just know I love the whole show. I loved all 3 seasons, much like I love both seasons of Punisher. So yeah, I'm very excited that it's back. I'm far more excited than I thought I would be 6 months ago. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I can't wait to watch it tonight. All right, what's next?
Logan says, Daredevil, the show, has a bounty of incredible supporting actors. Who are you most excited to see return tonight? I'm a big fan of Deborah Ann Wall's performance as Karen, and I love the intensity of Bernthal's Punisher. I'm curious about Bullseye, the actor who plays Bullseye.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. Even in the original series, he wasn't my favorite character. I didn't think he was bad, but I think he was probably my least favorite for me personally.
He didn't have a lot of, he was kind of that character.
God, you know who I loved, though? That was definitely somebody's going to say Kingpin. Well, Kingpin's not a secondary character. You know what secondary character I loved? Stick.
Oh, man.
I love Stick. If they could figure out a way to bring him back, I'd be all for it. But other than Stick, man, I love Foggy. That's why I'm so kind of heartbroken that I think we're going to see Foggy die. Anyway. What?
Just the way you just gotta leave it with someone's dead.
Someone's dead. Someone's dead. That's drama. That's stakes. All right. What's next?
All right, we got the Prestige worldwide. I've been rewatching past seasons of Daredevil, preparing for Born Again, and I was surprised when I saw that Foggy and the Penguin have the same ma. Did you know that? That's all thanks to being the best damn movie-related show on the planet. Is the same actress, or
I don't even remember Foggy's mom,
or they have the same name? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but either way, we'll find out. I don't remember Foggy's mom in the show. Was she in there? I can't remember. Some of the people in live chat saying, yeah, same actress. I didn't even remember Foggy's mom. We saw her on the show. Anyway, maybe I have to do another recap.
But did you guys know Jenny Ortega was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
That's right. What was she again? The president's daughter, right?
It was a joke.
I keep forgetting about that. All right, what's next?
All right. We got hot take. I'm really enjoying House of David on Amazon so far. It's an interesting new take on the story of King David. Stephen Lang is awesome.
I
as
love
Samuel.
Lang.
Also, the actor playing Goliath is Shao Kahn in the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Ooh.
Well, I didn't know there was a new Mortal Kombat movie coming.
Yes, there
Yep.
is.
Although you're not going to I'm sure Shao Kahn
Yeah,
is
yeah.
going to be very heavily either makeup or CGI'd.
Yeah.
Again, not a show until yesterday when somebody mentioned that I ever even heard of. Obviously, it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not a show I'm personally interested in. But I am a big fan of Stephen Lang. I love Slang. He's really cool. I've had a chance to meet him, get together with him a couple of times. He actually came into our studio once for an afternoon.
I remember that.
And he couldn't have been cooler. He could not have been cooler.
Yeah, we had that Conan the Barbarian, the original Conan the Barbarian poster in that studio.
Yep.
And he's like, you got to get this piece of shit down, and put mine up there because he was in the
because he was in the new
Yeah.
Conan with Jason Momoa. But and listen, I thought Josh Brolin was great as Cable. He was great as Cable in Deadpool 2. But Stephen Lang was born to play Cable. He should have been our Cable. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Paul Day says if Born Again is great, give this man a movie.
Nah. He's not a movie character. He's already really identified as a television character. They will like we could see Daredevil pop up in a movie, but you can take this to the bank. We're not going to get a Daredevil film on the big screen. We're not going to get a Daredevil movie. All right, what's next?
Chip Crisper, hey crew, on the possibility of Franklin and Fantastic Four in the very opening of the trailer after the elevator doors open. If you look closely, Sue walks in the room with a bit of a wobble and lean. It looks like she's pregnant or her belly was digitally removed. Oh, so maybe they wanted to hide that maybe she might have been pregnant in that. Maybe.
Here's my guess. And again, it's just purely a fan guess. If Franklin is in the movie, I think he's already born by the time the movie starts. Unless the movie starts with a flashback. Other than that, I think the movie starts. And when we pick up in present time in this movie, I think Franklin's already born if he's in it. But I don't know. You might be right. We'll see. All right. What's next?
Okay, Oscar Herrera with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Oscar. Appreciate that, man.
Read that the source file name for the Black Panther concept art, that it's King T'Challa Azuri, chieftain during World War II. The weapons also tend to confirm as they are similar to the comic counterpart. So
Could
it could
be.
be a different time period.
Could
in
be,
that
but
universe.
remember, we did get that report before this art ever came out. We did get that report coming out that Marvel was going to finally give us a new T'Challa, that they were going to have somebody recast to pick up the mantle of Chadwick Boseman and carry on the character for him. So those two things together, yeah. So again, I'm speculating like everybody else. I don't know. I'm not telling you definitively anything, but I think that's the way they're going to go. But it could very well be that. We'll see. All right. What's next?
Final three here. Soylent says, I also enjoyed Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning for what it was. I hadn't watched any Mission Impossible movies after the first.
Oh, wow.
But I took my dad to see Dead Reckoning. I was surprised at how much I was able to keep up with what was going on without having seen most of the series. Stitch will still destroy it, though.
Yeah, I think Lilo and Stitch will still, but I mean, how good or bad Mission Impossible does will have nothing to do with Lilo and Stitch, right? So it's not like they're competing against each other. So we'll see. I would highly recommend going and checking out a couple of other
Even if you
Mission
pick up,
Impossible movies.
even if you pick up with number 4.
Yeah, I was
think
going to exactly say that. Just go pick up with number 4.
that one's Ghost Protocol. That's the one where he's on the building in Abu Dhabi.
By the way, number 3 isn't all that bad. Did
No.
Brad Bird do 3?
That I'm not sure about.
Or was it J.J. Abrams?
Because John Woo did the second one, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the second one.
I
Gonna be
always
honest
skip
with
that
you.
one.
Yeah, I think you can skip Mission Impossible 2. Not going to
Yes.
lie to you. But was it J.J. Abrams? Yeah, it was J.J. It was J.J.
That
who
was
did
on 3.
number 3. Yeah, I didn't mind 3. 3 was a nice recovery.
It started recovering.
Yeah, it was the nice recovery from 2.
Yeah, and then 4.
And then they just all became bangers after that.
4 is great.
Yeah, definitely go back and check those out. All right.
Okay,
What's
we got
next?
we got Jerry. Hi, John and crew. Regarding Daredevil, my theory is that Foggy dies and Karen goes in the road of drugs, just like in the comics.
Again, there needs to be something harsh and something staggering that drives Matt to becoming the guy we see talking to Kingpin, saying, I stopped being him because a line got crossed. You see his mask falling down. So maybe it's not just the death of Foggy. And by the way, we don't know that Foggy dies. We're just guessing the death of Foggy, or also that he lost Karen to addiction or something like that. I mean, if they really wanted to make this powerful and really go that road, that would be a pretty cool thing to do. And then her redemption or whatever. We'll find out. We'll see what goes on when we get our first 2 episodes tonight. All right, what's next?
Okay, here's our final tip. Adam Rodriguez says, John, do you believe the MCU needed a midway tentpole Avengers film similar to Age of Ultron? Or did Endgame ruin the title usage on a smaller scale film? Thank you. I'm a newish fan, but a big one nonetheless.
No, I don't think so. Here's what I'll say. I don't really feel like the MCU has been in a place where an Avenger movie would fit. Like, as of right now, we don't even know who the Avengers are. There are no Avengers, technically. I mean, like Harrison Ford says in the movie, I want you to help me put together the Avengers, right? So there really right now isn't an Avengers team. It would have felt, my guess is it would have felt shoehorned if they just tried to do one for the sake of doing one, right? Because that will ruin your IP. They have waited now. We're going to get Doomsday. Now they're in a place to do them. If they had just done one for the sake of doing one. See, I thought the Age of Ultron, listen, I will say this and I'd make no apologies for it. I like Age of Ultron more and more every time I watch it. Do I think it's the best Avengers movie? No. But I think that movie is better than a lot of people give it credit for. And I think it's a better movie than my initial reaction to it was. So I like that one a lot. But I think now is the time for a new Avengers film. By now, I mean next year. Now's the time for a new Avengers film. Now we've got these, we're going to watch these new movies and these new shows, understanding that's where we're headed. And I think now is the right time, actually. So, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just kind of how I feel about it.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
All right, we got some members here. Jay said,
by the way, by members here, we often forget to remind you guys that we have channel members on our YouTube channel, and we've got a few little benefits for people who sign up to become channel members. Number one, it's just a great way for you guys to support the channel, but also for our channel members, we put up an absolutely ad-free version of our show. Like no YouTube ads, no sponsor spots. We just have an ad-free version of our show that goes up after we're live for those of you guys. But we also, most days, ask our channel members if they just want to throw in some questions, and we pick out a few of them to read at the end of every day. So these next few questions come from our beloved channel members. So Thank you guys who are already channel members, and thanks for supporting us.
So starting with Jay, I saw Novocaine last night for Cinemark's secret movie screening. Gotta say, it was fun and good time. Jack Quaid was so good in his role, and you could feel his character emotions.
Wait a minute, did Novocaine not just already, when did he say he watched it?
Last night.
Wait, I thought it opened on Thursday.
Mickey 17 opens this week. Novocaine is later.
Oh, I already thought Novocaine opened this past Thursday. And I
think
thought
it was
I missed
limited.
it.
It might have been limited theaters.
Yeah.
Maybe. I thought I missed its opening because I was in Vegas. Oh, it makes me happy. Well, listen, I gave up on these secret screenings because every time Ann and I went, it was something awful. Something awful and that we didn't even care about. And lately we've been hearing of a couple of good, if they keep doing things like this, I may start going back to the secret screenings again. Cord Cutter Cam in the live chat is saying, no, Novocaine's March 14th. See,
Next week. Yeah, Mickey 17 is this week.
Is this week. I'm so excited for both of those. I can't wait to see Mickey 17.
Yeah, I've got my ticket for Mickey.
All right, what's next?
We got Alan says, happy Tuesday, Campy crew. Just started watching Severance and wasn't sure if I was going to punt. I just finished episode 7. Can't wait to see how season ends.
Listen, I'll tell you what, I almost punted after the first episode.
Really?
Yep.
There was enough people living it that I'm like, I think it's going to be weird and quirky, but I'll just keep going. But I liked it.
I watched the first episode and I didn't hate it. I'm just like, this hasn't really hooked me. And I almost gave up on it. And then Ann said, let's give it one more episode. Same thing happened to me with Ted Lasso. I didn't love the first episode, but then I hung in there and it's like, oh, okay, now this is really hooked. And same thing happened with Severance, man. And it's, so good.
Okay, we got Hosea says, what's up, John? I've been bedridden sick for the last 2 days.
Oh, no, sorry to hear that, man.
2 movies I watched that I had never seen before were The Enemy of the State.
Yeah, a little bit of Gene Hackman there for you.
And Crimson Tide. I love Crimson Tide. Fun fact: that originally was called Danger Runs Deep, but they changed the title before it was released. Both were awesome. Same director Tony Scott and same producing partners Simpson and Bruckheimer, which was a complete accident on my part. I was just after some Gene Hackman goodness, and he is amazing in both. You really can't find a bad Gene Hackman movie. You won't go wrong, honestly. I mean,
Welcome to Moose. What's the name of the last?
Mooseport.
Yeah, welcome to Mooseport.
Okay,
I'll
but-
submit that one.
Yeah.
Welcome to Mooseport.
But you can even watch that and be like, he did it ironically. So
Sure. Yeah. I still think it's so funny that in Gene Hackman's all-time great career that was his final movie that he decided to go out on. Crimson Tide, man. That's a good movie.
that's a great movie.
That's a good movie,
Yeah.
man. I forgot. I think I forgot to mention that one when we were going down the big list of all of his great films.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had a chance. That's honestly, hey, we're going to have sick days, but a great use of your time when you're down like that is to get caught up on some of the great ones. And I'm glad you used your time for that, man. Feel better soon. All right. What's next?
Mason, Novocaine's so freaking funny. Jack Quaid has had a great year so far. My favorite Nepo baby by far.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all I know is that Companion was really good. But I've been excited for Novocaine. Ever since I saw the trailer for the first time, I'm like, I gotta watch this. This has me excited, and you know what? I'm really liking Quaid. Is he a Nepo baby? Sure. But I don't care if you're actually really good.
Yeah, I don't think that really, to me, that doesn't matter. Like, a lot of people, even in trades, they bring their kids into it, or if they own their own company, their family business, they bring their. I don't care if you get into it and you still have to go through the same casting and everything. If you suck and you keep getting work, that's when I have a problem with it.
And there have been times I'm like, why does this person keep getting work?
But if they're award-winning caliber, like, I don't care. You have the talent.
Yeah, and I don't know that Jack is ever going to win an Emmy or an Oscar, but he's got the X factor.
Yeah.
He's just got something that makes him so fun to watch on screen.
Yeah, it's just like, why am I thinking, a U.S. agent. Why can't I think of his name?
Yeah. Russell.
Wyatt Russell. I mean,
Yeah.
who cares? He's great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's really good. All right, what's next?
Okay, King Daddy. Hey, John and crew. Hope all is well. I do just about anything for a Wii as well. How did you all like the season finale of Paradise?
Didn't watch it.
I can't wait for season 2. Yeah, and I'm behind.
Yeah, I mean, I think it didn't drop until like midnight last night or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, I did not have the opportunity to watch it yet. I'm definitely going to watch it today before I watch Daredevil later
I
tonight.
can't
Yeah.
believe they all died.
Shut up. Well, practically the whole planet died in episode 7. So, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
Well, but we knew that from episode 1.
yeah, you know that
knew
from episode 1. I am looking forward to seeing the new one. So, but we'll see. All right, what's next?
Ronnie says over under 40% chance we see the fridge in DC's Lanterns show since it's a detective show instead of space epic.
I mean, if they decide they want to make it, because remember the fridge stuff, and remember, I asked that question myself. The one thing that makes me think they won't do it is the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's connected to the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. And of course, in this one, we have our Hal Jordan and our John Stewart.
John Stewart.
Now, it is very possible. Like, they don't follow the comics exactly. Maybe they do the fridge thing and it's Hal Jordan's wife or it's John Stewart's wife. And that's what gets it all going. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm going to guess they don't. But it would be really, if they really wanted to make this like True Detective and give it that kind of real gritty feel, that'd be a pretty cool way to kick off this thing. And the murder mystery trying to figure out who killed one of their wives. I think it's them going to be trying to solve who killed one of the Green Lanterns.
Or Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Or who framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, that's been a long mystery.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could implement the fridge. They could. All right, what's next?
Someone's going to die though, right, John?
Someone's got to die.
Dominic says, I think Tony Stark was the smartest character in the MCU until his death. Feige said it was Shuri, but I think based on what they actually did in the films, Tony was slightly ahead of her.
Nope, not a chance. Remember that Vision was a byproduct of the work of Tony and Bruce,
Right.
right? And Shuri looked at like Vision like, did you guys not think to do this?
Yeah,
and
remember
Bruce like,
Bruce?
oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, no. Sure, the way they wrote her, Remember, they can write. They could have said anybody was the smartest
Sure.
in their universe, but
Agree.
they absolutely did write that she was the smartest person in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's the way they wrote her. That's what Kevin Feige said. She was clearly a little bit ahead of both of them because she looked at their work and went, you guys didn't even think about doing this?" And then Bruce was like, "Oh, like so." And Bruce is one of the smartest people in the MCU. But yeah, they clearly wrote it so Shuri was the smartest. All right, what's next?
Amin says, crazy to me that while every single Planet of the Apes films has been nominated for Best VFX, none of them won the Oscar. Most have won the VES awards, but no Oscar.
That's an interesting piece of trivia.
They always seem to skip them over. Yeah.
I mean, listen, whatever you thought about the new Planet of the Apes movies, the visual effects were bloody flawless.
I know. If it won, whatever, I was happy for Dune, though.
I mean, listen, there's no taking away that Dune absolutely was worthy of winning it. 100%. When you look at what they did in Dune and the entire world creation in there and stuff like that. But the fact that none of the Apes movies won Best Shows, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. That's a good piece of trivia. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Umang. Hey, John and crew. Last week I watched all the Wes Anderson movies for the first time. Wow. So this wasn't like you love his style and you just went, I really love his style and weird, quirky humor and meta jokes. What's your favorite Wes Anderson movie? Mine is probably The Friend. And then the fact that these were all first time watching and he binged it and his favorite was French Dispatch. Wow.
The funny thing is as you're reading the question, I thought in my head, well, my least favorite was actually probably French Dispatch. And then he mentioned
that's his
his
favorite.
But
So
that's
yeah.
Wes Anderson films, right? I think my favorite is probably still Royal Tenenbaums.
I love I can only give a top 3. It's Royal Tenenbaums, Darjeeling Limited, and the Grand Budapest Hotel.
I was gonna say, I bet you're gonna say Grand Budapest Hotel.
And that's no shade on the others because I also love Sizu, the Life Aquatic, but like,
Yep.
you know.
Life Aquatic is great. And I don't hate, by the way, I don't hate the French Dispatch at all. It's probably my least favorite of his, but that's just how interesting his. Oh, what was the one he just did though?
The short?
No, the one where they're like, where the comet fell.
Aliens. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Scarlett Johansson. It's something City.
Asteroid City.
Asteroid
Asteroid
City.
City.
Wasn't a big fan of Asteroid City.
It fell a little flat.
Yep, a little bit flat.
But
Great cast, little bit flat for me.
I didn't mind that short film he did for Netflix with Benedict Cumberbatch.
You know, I never saw it. I never
like the
watched it.
strange life of whatever. I thought that was really nice. It was like an hour long. It was short.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions, though. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey, guys, once again, want to remind you that I lost it, so I can't find it anywhere. But a little bit later tonight, at 9 p.m. Los Angeles time. Yes, that's very late East Coast. That's going to be midnight on the East Coast. But we're going to be doing our Daredevil Born Again after show tonight. Come on in. We're going to give you all of our feelings on the first 2 new episodes of Daredevil. Hopefully you guys will come and join us. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
All right. See you guys later.
Big thanks to Chris Carr and Robert Meyer Burnett for being here earlier. And big thanks to you guys. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.